Okay, was this even worth it? Oh gosh, yes. This tank is chock-a-block full of gunk. Ugh. Okay.
Hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on a pair of classic wooden motor cruisers here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie and my lovely fiancée Andrea, all while fixing up both boats for some pretty ambitious cruising. Okay, well, it's getting late in the spring and we're having to get geared up to head out on our summer cruise. And while that means a lot of prep work, and that also means helping out Lady Zephyrus with some prep work on MV Zephyrus. Nothing too significant. This boat is in exceptionally good shape, but we're going to look after a few little issues that's easier to deal with. Well, she's not aboard. She's at work today and tomorrow, so I got to get hustling. Okay, as I said, this week we're going to get some things done aboard MV Zephyrus to get her ready for the summer cruising season. And I need to do a few things, as I said, while Lady Zephyrus is away at work. And that's take apart the entire wheelhouse, all of this, to get underneath the sole, to get to the water tanks. And that's because MV Zephyrus has twin aluminum or maybe stainless steel water tanks, but they're full of a grit of some sort, some kind of sand or sediment. I'm not sure what it is, but it is wreaking havoc on water pumps and faucets. So we need to deal with it at its source because somehow filtration isn't really dealing with it. So gonna try and open up the top of the tanks and get a pressure washer in there and then suck all that silty water back out with a vacuum cleaner, maybe. Anyway, let's take all this apart. Okay, with all this cleared out of the way, let's have a look at the starboard tank. It's not really a very old tank. It has two ports on this side on the forward end that look like they might have been level gauge ports at one time, because that 5 bolt pattern is fairly familiar, but there really isn't a access port at the back other than the fill. We'll see about that, but I can sort of sense by these lines here that there definitely are baffles in the tank. So if that's my only way through, I don't know how effectively I'm going to be able to clean this. So let's start taking it apart. I have a feeling this tank may be full. Yes, I believe it is. Okay, well that is going to slightly affect the expediency at which I can perform this next operation. Something of a gasket, but we'll replace this with some butyl, I think. Yes, absolutely full. Oh, bother. You might say, why not just run the domestic pump? Well, currently the domestic pump is connected to the other tank and I don't have access to the valve anymore because of all the stuff I've stored here. Okay. We'll get this done. Still no sediment. I was kind of hoping by the time I got to the bottom I'd be getting some junk. So let's have a look down here and see what it looks like. Ooh, there's quite a bit of silt. Definitely. Right down in this corner for sure. But other than that, it's pretty clean. It's just sand. Absolutely sand. The trick is going to be working the other side of these baffles, because all there is a 1.5 inch hole at the very bottom and one halfway up. So access to this end of the tank or even the middle is a bit limited. Dang. There we go. Now we're starting to see some sand in there. And as a result, I won't pour this water into the bilge. I'll just pour it overboard. Well, I really don't want to do this. Taking apart fittings like this often results in unhappiness, but if I'm going to be able to get the silt out of this end of the tank, I need to be able to blow water down into there. And well, here we go. Yeah.
Hopefully I can turn this a bit. Oh, gosh damn, gosh damn. I don't know if this is going to come apart easily. It's got to be able to turn just a little. Please. Because that's not going to turn. Okay, so I'm going to blast basically just garden hose pressure down here, blast it down the pickup tube, which hopefully is, you know, an inch or two above the very bottom. The bottom of the tank comes to a V, so all the sediment is down in this area. So with any luck, that'll get it in suspension and it'll flow that way where I can pick it up to vacuum. The sediment is actually very, very loose. I'm never going to need to do any pressure washing because it's just loose sand in the bottom. Anyway, let's not get too wet here. Let's blast this for a little bit and see what it looks like at the other end. Okay. Oh, it's great! I don't know if you can see, folks, but that is very, very full of sediment. Okay, so this is going to work. It's just, well, painful. The trick really is to be sucking it out while the sediment is still in suspension. So I'm going to set this up to vacuum at the same time that I blast some water in. About there. Oh yeah! I have a little beach in here. Okay, after many, many cycles of pressuring in and vacuuming out, let's have a look down here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's nice and clean, even in the very bottom. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is about as good as I'm going to get it. Obviously, we need to add a really good filter before the pump. We had one, but it wasn't fine enough to deal with some of the stuff we were getting. Actually, I first thought these tanks were aluminum, but they're stainless. Nice, very nice. They're actually lovely tanks. It'd be sort of tempting to put some proper access ports in them, and then we could really tidy them up. So I'd like to clean this up a bit with some sandpaper before I try to reseal it again, and I really don't want to get any of this down in my nice clean tank. So the only way I can think of doing that and making sure nothing goes in is by filling the tank and having it overflow here, which will wash away anything I do here across the top, and then none of it will go back in the tank. So we'll wait a little while this fills. Let's see how far we are. Oh, we're getting there. Oh, it's so clean. Now I was going to reseal this with butyl, but actually the rubber gasket that was on here was able to be cleaned up fairly well, so I'm not too worried about that, especially in a situation where leak is not really the end of the world. Okay, we're getting closer. And here we go. Actually, there's a little bit of some junk coming up out of there. And it'll all get flushed away. Good. I'm going to say that's just fine. All right then, I think this worked out pretty well. See if I can get these screws started. Okay, that's wrapped up, and I'm going to say that these tanks are about as clean as we can possibly expect. Now we just put everything back together and do the one on the other side. have to wait till tomorrow to do the port side tank because Lady Zephyrus is on her way home. Ugh. So what I think I'll do today is service the batteries. It's been about 4 months, so it's definitely time to check the water in here. Oh, they're almost full. I love it. 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 Okay, well, we'll just top these up slightly. I don't know if it's a trick everyone knows, but when you're filling batteries and you can't really see down in very easily, you're supposed to fill batteries to the bottom of the vent tube, which is basically the tube that goes down from the hole that you're filling them in. Of course, you can fill them higher, but that's what's ideal. The neat thing about it is you can definitely tell the difference in the sound when you're filling it. Just as it touches the vent tube, the sound will change completely. And it's very easy to tell. You don't have to be able to see. Just like that. Another very important thing to do while we're here is check the sea strainer, and I can see there's some junk in it, which is rare. It's not, oh no, it just looked like there was junk in it. Well, I have one little muscle of some sort. Just a shred of a muscle. Anyway, I'll just give this a rinse and we'll get this refilled. Now, to be able to fill a sea strainer that's above the water line, you need to be able to close the sea cock so that you can keep it from just draining away as you're refilling it. So I'll just reach down here, close the sea cock, fill it back up. It's okay, Finnegan. There we go. Drop the strainer back in and the cover. Not forgetting to open the sea cock again. Excellent. Okay. Good. Now while we're down here, we'll have a look at the start battery. Although it's a maintenance-free battery, I do want to always check the terminals, make sure there's nothing ugly going on there. And they look lovely. Lovely. Splendid. Okay, so we're pretty much done down here for today. Tomorrow we'll tackle that port side tank. Exact same tank, slightly different orientation. Okay, given these two little access panels, as you can imagine, I would much rather take these beautiful stainless screws out than these very rusty standard screws out. But this is closer to the bottom of the tank, so this is where I'm going to have to go. Let's start with the gnarliest of them all and see if I can clean them out a bit by sliding the screwdriver sideways through the slot. To create a better slot. Okay, one very gentle twist. I do not like the way this feels. I've just broken the screw head off. I'm going to try a little heat. You might say, how about W40 or some such? And of course, the amount that would leak into the freshwater tank from doing that would be negligible, but still, let's see if I can do it without. Now, generally when you're using heat, you're trying to expand the outside part of the fastener, in other words, a nut over the bolt, etc. But sometimes just a lot of heat just helps things a little bit. There's a slightly different feel to turning than braking. And I tell you, that is braking. The likelihood of me fixing these two is getting to be pretty slim. Sometimes heat and then cold is what we want. Nope. Okay. At this point, I'll just break the other two off and we'll cope with it. There's that one. And there's that one. Oh, crikey. I'll cool things off here a bit. This is a paper gasket. Now, of course, it's early in this project, so if I get a little junk down in here now, it's not the end of the world. This tank is already empty, so I'm not going to fill it just to deal with this. Okay, well, what we have here is a classic problem. Okay, was this even worth it? Oh gosh, yes. This tank is chock-a-block full of gunk. Ugh. Okay. Okay, well, this is certainly no fun. These are mild steel machine screws, and they're all kicky rust on the bottom, falling apart. I can't leave them in there, so I'm going to grind them smooth, try to drill them out. Most likely I'm going to have to drill 5 new holes and tap 5 new holes, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, I got a bunch of supplies, and let's clean this up for now. Okay, now of course this is, miserable. I'm sending little bits of grit and everything down here, but I gotta sort this out before I start to clean out the tank. So let's see if I can drill these out. Okay, not tremendously pretty, but we've dealt with that problem. I'll clean the rest of this up when we're done. Let's just get carried on here. Just going to put a slight chamfer on these holes. Okay, time to re-drill and re-tap these. So let's just put this on exactly backwards. Somewhere there. And that will cover all the old holes and stay square. Start with one. Stainless, so we'll lubricate it with water. And tap it. Tapping stainless, no great joy, I can tell you. Okay, this is hard going, so I'm going to switch to a little avocado oil. That's non-toxic, right? Let's see if that helps. Okay, there we go. And there we go. I would say that was very successful. Not very pretty, but very successful. And that will seal perfectly. Okay, I've got everything set up to vacuum out again, and I've got the pressure hose all ready to go. Let's give it a blast. You can start to take some of this out. Not very nice. Okay, so we'll do our same trick down here. This is actually cheap black poly pipe. I don't know why this is on here. Should replace it. Certainly not going to try and get it off that fitting. Okay, let's blast some water in and see what it looks like on the other side. Oh, I'll try to film this for you. It's horrible. Okay, the upside of it is that it's very, very effective. Okay. Oh yeah, that is not something I'd like to drink. Okay, so I'm filling the tank. Let's get this cover on. So the cover goes basically right like that. So I'm going to actually put the butyl on the inside of the cover. That way I can put the screws through and they'll poke through and I'll know where they are. There we go. That will seal very nicely. Push these through. Give them a bit of a twist. There we go. And that looks great. And there we go. I'm going to say that's as tidy as a repair as anyone could ask for. Okay. We gotta get this hose on before the water fills. That nasty hose clamp. Nice new clamp. Let's warm this up a little bit. There we go. And there we go.